Thank you everyone for joining us today. As you know, my name is Vikas Garg, and I'm here today, your host and the host for the curatorial walkthrough for Ananta Katha, Roots and Renewal, a solo show by Krishna Prakash Vasant, curated by Liu and Shalu Yadav. And I'm happy to share this journey because this exhibition I was involved in the whole process from concept to the curatorial approach to the practice. So in this walkthrough, we'll be talking about how we approach these themes and explore why we did this exhibition, and why did we choose this particular format, that is online format, rather than having something in person, right? As as the name suggests, Anant Katha. Anant Katha is derived from a Sanskrit word which means Anant, where Anant means endless or infinite, and Katha means stories. In Indian mythology, Anant is associated with sorry, Lord Vishnu, and Lord Vishnu is the preserver and sustainer of the universe. It symbolizes his eternal and limitless nature, reflecting the Hindu beliefs in the cycle of nature, of life and existence. And please, I don't want it to be monotonous. If you have any doubts or queries, please interrupt me in between, because I want it to be a two-way dialogue rather than just one. So please feel free to interrupt. Okay. So Anant Katha, which means endless stories, is an exploration of South Asian rich cultural and spiritual heritage. It invites us to reflect on the timeless narratives of gods, goddesses, epics, and stories that we have shaped our culture and spiritual life for generations. Before I begin, I would like you to think about few things. That is, first one is what it mean what me- what sorry what meaning does these ancient stories hold us today? How these stories guide our understanding of cultural and values. Lastly, how can we preserve the art how can we preserve the art form and carry them for future generations? Let us dive into the ideology behind the exhibition, that is the curatorial vision of the project. The Anant Katha emerged from a deep desire to celebrate and preserve endangered cultural practices in South Asia, especially those are at the risk of being lost in the fast pace of modern life, like super miniature, which this exhibition is solely dedicated to. Our curator Shalu and Laura curated this exhibition with a very thoughtful process where they wanted to create an exhibition that showcases the cultural heritage, where they want to showcase cultural heritage is not just a relic of past, but a living force that grows, transforms, and continue to inspire across generations. Because the motive behind the exhibition was so pure and purpose driven, we wanted to make sure it reaches to the wider audience and is accessible to everyone from anywhere. We decided to do this exhibition online by using Artlune as a platform to talk about such important issues, where we enable a deeper level of engagement with audiences and the work. By the thoughtful curation of Laura and Shalu, Anant Katha provides context, narratives, and immersive experience that help audience to connect with both historical and contemporary relevance of the works. For Artlune, exhibitions are not just something to look at, or things are not artworks are not something to put on the walls. It is about engaging with the stories that continue to resonate and asking why and how they might influence our world today. At the heart of this exhibition, at the heart of this, at the heart of Anant Katha is our represented artist Krishna Prakash Vasant, who has dedicated his life in reviving the endangered Suffer miniature painting tradition. For decades, Krishna has been reimagining this traditional style through complex ink drawings that breathe new life into cultural heritage. His works draws on the great epic of Ramayana and Mahabharata, preserving presenting divine and mythological figures in a way that honored the past while offering a contemporary lens. Much like Ram Leela, which is a theatrical performance of Ramayana, Krishna Prakash works also bridges oral storytelling and visual art. Each detailed drawing captures human and divine emotions, presenting mythology as a living, breathing experience, not just something which is a relic of past, as I said earlier. As a curator, Laura and Shalu collaborated closely with Krishna to understand his works, ensuring that the exhibition highlights both the beauty of Suffer miniature and its relevance today. Anant Katha explores several major themes. First is the idea of creation and renewal embodied in the tree of life, a motif that deeply resonated with the South Asian culture. This symbol bridges heaven and earth, representing continuity, growth, and the connection between the spiritual and physical world. Another main theme in this exhibition is the memory and cultural preservation. In an era of rapid technological change, where many traditional practices are at the risk of being lost forever, right? But through the efforts of artists like Krishna, who make sure these stories are preserved but not frozen in time. They are reinterpreted and made relevant and brought into the dialogue with the present, so that each and every generation who's coming in and seeing this work can resonate what's there, what's not, and they can have their own perspective throughout these narratives. As you explore this exhibition on our website, you'll notice reoccurring motifs of gods and goddesses, divine narratives, and cosmic philosophies. Each work invites reflections on the human experience, morality, and timeless relevance of the themes of these stories, or else myths. Right? To be honest, myth is a very Western idea, because sometimes these stories happen which throughout the through the process of time become a myth, right? I personally encourage you all to think about how these stories might resonate with your own life, right? What lessons or insights do you offer, like do these stories offer you guys today? And the and how you can learn from these things rather than just some stories. It also has some moral life lessons, so how you can learn from them and apply those things in our today's life. The revival of Suffer miniature painting tradition is, as I said earlier, is at the core of this exhibition. This art form is endangered, with very few contemporary practitioners like Krishna Prakash, who not only preserve these techniques but transform them, making them relevant for modern audiences. Each ink drawing is very carefully made, capturing both the traditional visual language and new interpretation of families and stories. right? And where all these interpretations becomes way more familiar than we think about it. Like the way we think, the more we think, the more familiar it gets. The works allow us to experience the past in a way that is alive, reflective, and immersive. Through Anant Katha, we see that preservation does not mean stagnation. Instead, it is an ongoing dialogue between past and present, ensuring that cultural heritage continues to inspire, educate, and connect people across generations. I think talked a lot about the idea and the the curatorial narrative behind it, and how we make things, how we use this exhibition as a way to preserve those narratives, right? Let's move a bit towards some key themes and key artworks which we exhibited in this exhibition. First is Tree of Life. Tree of Life. This is a beautifully this how will I say this series beautifully captures the interconnectedness of life, showing how growth and renewal occurs across generations. Notice that intricate details in each branch and leaf reflects both the Suffer miniature style and Krishna's personal artistic voice. The next we have is mythological figure series, where Krishna reinterpret characters from Ramayana, Mahabharata, Vishnu Puran, Shiva Puran, and try to give them a new life through his intricate design. Krishna presents them in a new visual form that blends divine symbolism with human emotions while allowing us to experience those stories in a new and fresh perspective. Finally, the divine figures. Here in these figures, Krishna explores spiritual and cosmic themes, drawing attention to moral lessons, devotions, and the human capacity to transformation. Each figure invites meditative and reflection, connecting viewers to ancient narratives while promoting contemporary interpretations. When we say contemporary interpretations, it's the same like how I said earlier, how these artworks resonate with our day-to-day narratives rather than something from the past. How these stories, how these narratives, which our ancestors in this South Asian context has preserved it for so long, how it applies to our modern day life and concepts. As you view these works, consider how mythology, spirituality, and visual story interact. What feelings or thoughts do they evoke in you? In the end, I'll say that Anant Katha is more than just an exhibition. It is a bridge between the past and the present, tradition and modernity. Through Krishna's intricate ink drawings, we preserve not just a visual art form, but the spiritual and cultural memory it carries. Working with Krishna, for us, it was a very rewarding process because talking to him and about his practice makes you realize how important these narratives are and how easily people are drifting away from these narratives. Specifically, specifically losing the art form which uh, which was there for so long, and kings were the main patrons. And after a series of incidents which happened within South Asia, these how these art forms become so much marginalized that now hardly few people work on it. Not not something which even everyone knows about. I get to know about this particular art form when I first talked to Krishna in 2018. Prior to that, I had no clues art form like this exists, because these art forms are so much similar to miniature, and miniature is such a big umbrella term. It dilutes, because there are not a lot of practitioners for this particular art form. It dilutes the essence of the work. Because when you talk about miniature, you always hear about oh, Rajasthan miniature or Mughal miniature, but you hardly hear anything about miniature painting styles in south of India, right? When it comes to south of India, we talk about the sculpture and sculptures more because of Ajanta caves. We talk about minute drawings because of Ellora caves, but we never talk about the miniature style of South India. And so for miniature is living proof of that, how easy it for us to forget once what was how easy it for us to forget what things which once were part of our day-to-day practice, part of our culture. Now it's a relic of past, as I said earlier as well. I encourage everyone to explore this exhibition on our online platform, artlune.com, and engage with the works, reflect on these artworks, narratives, and consider how these stories continues to shape the culture which we are living in today. I think that's it for me. And now I would really want you to show the works which we showcased, and then we can have a brief conversation about each and every work, about how he came up with these narratives, and the strokes and lines and ideology behind these works. And after that, I'll be happy to share any doubts or queries you have. And please feel free to let us know you want to have if you want to know something about any individual work apart from this walkthrough, because walkthrough is a very quick way for us to make people understand what the exhibition and artwork is about. But we'll be more than happy to answer any of the questions or queries you have meanwhile. So how about let me start sharing my screen so that people can see what we are. Just a second, I'm just trying to figure out how to use internet. I'm not very good with technology. Over the period of time I learned this. Okay, so can you see this? Can you see my screen? Can you see my screen, everyone?
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. So in this whole exhibition, we showcase six artworks of Krishna Prakash Vasan. As I was saying earlier, right? One of There are three major themes in which we try to talk in these works, right? Like stories, like this particular artwork called Ram Sita God, Ram Sita God, right? So represented showcased artworks are from the series of called World Public Relationship Connection. And for Krishna Prakash, pen and ink is a replacement of gold, which they used to use earlier in Suffer miniature. As I said, that Suffer miniature used to be patronized by kings and queens. So earlier they used a lot of gold and silver in their works. But as a series of events happened within India, those rich patrons lost their wealth to patronize these forms again, and that's how these artists switch to a different medium to make sure that art forms are still alive and we won't forget it. So this the prominent things which you can see in these works are gods and goddesses, like Lakshmi, the god. Lakshmi is goddess of prosperity, right? And it embodies a natural blessing of festivity and joy, right? Similarly, in Ram and Sita, right, you can see it. It's a divine union, right? And it symbolizes like Ram Leela is the Ram and Sita as a couple. It's a symbol of divine union. At the same time, the story Ramayana, it's uh, it's like it's a triumph of truth over evil, right? So if you look closely in these works, I'm zooming in a bit. So if you look closely in these works, you'll see these artwork, these hands, right? They are formed with a single line where artists try to put elements like try to represent, try to showcase things like the lines in the hands, or the how these precision, because it's not something which he stops and then start doing it again. Something once he started, he could make sure he finishes it. And the references in this work is taken from Shilp Shastra, where, okay, I think this is the work where you'll be able to see it more clearly. The references when he's drawing, it's taken from Shilp Shastra, where each and every figure start with a very atomic level. So there it says, I might be wrong because I it's been ages since I last read these things, but yeah, in that it says like if you join few and like I don't know, I think 6 or 7 atoms or something like that, it makes a lyse, it makes a cell. And if you join few cells together, it makes a tissue, and few tissues together, like similarly the process goes on. And when it comes to a human body, it starts with the how, like it starts with lice. So if you join 7 lice together, it made a hair. And if you join 7 hair together, it makes an eye. If you join 7 eyes together, it makes a head. If you join 7 heads together, it makes body. So similar, like things like this is what inspires Krishna Prakash a lot, and making sure that his works follows those symmetrical figures, follows those lines, and follows those perspectives. And as I said, a lot of contemporary narrative he's trying to build in, right? So in this particular piece, the golden tree of life, right? You as tree of life, as it says here as well, right? It symbolizes the radiant energy of goddess Lakshmi, right? But at the same time, if you look closely in these artworks, you'll see these lines, right? Now, what these lines represent, right? It can be our modern society, it can be a futuristic landscape, it can be tons of tree trunks, or it can be the desires, it can be greeds, it can be a lot of things. Again, how these narratives put into the context, when you read these stories, you understand these ideas. So these narratives and these artwork changes form accordingly. So I'll let you guys explore this more, and please join us. Please see this exhibition at artlune.com. And if you, I can show you the path if you guys don't know, if you guys haven't seen it. So if you'll visit our website Artlune, you can go to our events and then go to online exhibition. There you'll see the first banner, Ananta Katha, and then you can read the curatorial note what our artist Laura and Shalu has written. along with the description about each and every artwork. Please let us know in case you have any doubts or queries. And we are having our first coffee morning session, which is for the community, this coming Saturday. And the topic for this is how to be a curator. So I'll request everyone to please RSVP your presence, because we only have limited seats. And it is, as I said, it is for the community and by the community. So your inputs will be valued, and we'll be making sure that we'll work on your inputs to make things more enjoyable for you. Okay, I think that's it for me. And if you have any doubts or queries, please ask me. I'm more than happy to answer.
Yeah. Uh, Hi, Vikas.
Nishad.
Uh, I would like to mention something in the
Mhm.
context what you mentioned, that how the medium of this particular form of art, super miniature
Mhm.
painting, changed as it traveled across the centuries. Like
Mhm.
first, when artists were getting recognized and patronized by royal courts and kings, so the major medium that was being used was gold and silver and precious stones. They
Yeah.
used to ornamented these paintings, and like how some past events changed this whole scene, and how the artist landed into representing the everyday lifestyle of the society which they lived in, and how the medium changed, like when there was not much wealth, when these artists lost their patrons, how they transferred their medium from wealth to a very common medium that was present locally, and like how the particular medium they found very easily, ink and paper. So how this, it shows like how much this particular art form has traveled across, and like it has seen many changes across as it traveled. I guess it was very interesting thing which you pointed out, like how our artist Krishna Prakash is using a simple medium of using monochromatic ink on paper to reflect these narratives which has been traveled across centuries, uh, which are a form of our civilization. So I guess that was a very good point, like how history shapes a certain form of art, and how art form can be changed through centuries, like, and how an artist adapts to that thing itself, like uh, matlab, how the artist, particular artist, um, tries to revive that particular art form with the materials he that are easily available. So yeah, that was what I wanted to mention.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for mentioning it. I would like to add something in it as well, because what happened, like, we all know about worldly art, we all know about Madhubani art, right? So the main reason for it's, I think it's just me who think like this. I'm not I'm not sure. It might be just me. But the main reason for these art to survive was because these artworks were made on the wall with the naturally found material, right?
Hmm.
And they didn't need tons and tons of patrons, right? I know, like, just I read it long time back, like when it's when worldly, I think it's worldly art. Yeah. Yes, worldly or Madhubani something. Shit. I'm forgetting the thing, but when Ram and Sita was getting married, so the whole village decorated their walls with that particular art form.
It
This
was
sh-
Madhubani.
Madhubani. Okay, thank you.
Sorry to interrupt
No,
you.
no, thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, I was getting confused between Worli and Madhubani, right? So whole village was decorated with that particular art form. And till now, you see those narratives, the way they created it in those in current day contemporary Madhubani paintings, right? This shows like when the art was accessible to the common audience, like to the commoners, the chances of art being lost with the centuries is very less, because they need very big patrons to constantly boost that art, right? But the moment it becomes exclusive, that's when the chances of art being like vanish from the scene increases, because a handful of people know this, but those handful of people are not getting enough money, and that's why they are stopped doing this now. And over like there are so many. So for miniature is just one art form. If you look at the art forms near like traditional handicraft art form near India Pakistan border, like near Rajasthan, in Rajasthan, specifically border side, right? You'll see so many art forms. People are not continuing it anymore because, firstly, they are not getting enough money. In India, handicrafts are not that much appreciated. We all know this, right? Secondly, because they have seen their whole families struggling, right? So they don't want to follow that same path again, and which makes them leave those villages, leave that whole skill set which their ancestors have preserved for generations, right? And do something, come to the city, have that city life, do something which is very much fit to the cultural current narrative, right? And why I'm telling this, I think I'm just getting a bit off track. Why I'm telling this? Because it's super easy for us to just say, oh, this artwork is getting lost, this particular art form is getting lost, or we lost that culture. But we forget to appreciate how artists like Krishna Prakash, right, put so much effort just to make sure that the art form preserves, right? And trying to make sure, like through art, Krishna Prakash also does tons and tons of workshops. So he wants to make sure that upcoming generation knows the importance of it, so that it won't just exist in the museum, it exists in the household, right? Because museums are the places where we put things which are not here anymore, just to showcase. I think I made it more complicated rather than using some simpler vocabulary, but I get a bit more emotional when I was saying about it. So yeah, any other doubts or queries?
Yeah, just really like you say when you say like something is something we put in the house rather than museum. It's like really related to our sort of we want this kind of art form to be continued, and it's like really good explanation of that.
Thank you. It's good to hear from Laura and Shalu, because Laura and Shalu are the one who worked a lot and very closely with Krishna Prakash, and they are the one who came up with this whole narrative. They spent tons of time doing the research behind the narratives, and making sure that what they are trying to say, right, comes out, and it should not get lost in the words. That's why, and at the same time they made sure that things are easily readable, understandable, and accessible. Any doubts or queries, anyone? That's great. And please visit our website artlune.com and see our online exhibition, and I'll see you soon again with another exhibition and another interesting programs. Thank you. Thanks a lot, everyone. Bye.